Hi friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to share my spring favorites with you. These are the books that I rated 5 stars for March, April, and May. I have some good ones in here, so you're definitely going to want to watch if you need some book recommendations. First up, this should come as no surprise that I loved this one. It's I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This is a memoir about Jeanette McCurdy's life as a child actress and her relationship with her mother. I listened to this on audio, and the audio was really touching as well. If you don't read a lot of memoirs or nonfiction, I would still recommend this. I have no connection to iCarly or the actress or like nostalgia there, but I just really loved how vulnerable and real and raw she was. I also loved the length of this one and just her voice and her story, and I really felt like I got to know her and what she was going through and like where she's headed, and I just want to praise her for all of her success for sharing her story with everyone. But yes, definitely a 5-star read, and I know a lot of you have read it because it was very, very popular and a lot of people rated it 5 stars as well, so I'm not alone in my opinions. The next book is one of my all-time favorite books. I actually read it twice, back to back, and that is Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow by 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒂𝒔. I do not know why I put off like reading this book. I read another 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒂𝒔, The Storied Life of A.J. Thackeray, and absolutely loved it when I read it back a few years ago. When this initially released, the premise did not sound like something I would like, surprisingly, so I kind of just passed it over. And I'm so happy that I got this from Book of the Month for the Book of the Year, and I gave it a shot because this book just means so much to me. Like, I can't even express like how outside my norm as far as reading that this book is. Like, if you told me that it was a slice of life story, character driven, followed characters for a long span of life, I would be like, ew, no. But for some reason, 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒂𝒔 just makes me care about her characters and their lives, and this is not a happy book, and I feel like you do need to be in a headspace where you can read something like this. It is a longer read, which is also something that I'm usually not a fan of, but in this one, you get to know these two characters, and they spend like 30 years together. They meet when they're children. They go to college for similar things. They end up starting this gaming company together, and you just see them as friends for like the majority of their lives, and the things that are happening around them and with their company. And I don't know, it's something special. So if you have not read this and you do like those things that I talked about, slice of life stories, character driven novels, things like that, and you're in a good headspace, I highly recommend that you pick this up. This will not be the last time you hear me talking about this book. All right, next up is a book that when I read it, I initially rated it 5 stars, but now I'm like, is it 5 stars or is it 4 stars? I definitely don't like it as much as another book that I read by this author. Which book am I talking about? The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This is a thriller book about a book reviewer that is house sitting, or kind of like staying in this house, like she's kind of watching the house for the person, kind of like an Airbnb situation. And she writes a bad review about a book, and then all of a sudden, like, weird, creepy things start happening in conjunction with the author reaching out to her, asking her to take her review down. So now she's fearful that the author is stalking her, and she's in this location that is kind of secluded. There's only like one other guy that lives in like another beach house, and it's like the off season or something like that. And they usually play like hangman through the window, but like she doesn't really know him either. So like we have an unreliable narrator. We have like everybody is suspicious, but there's also like a smaller cast of characters. So like if you think about it like too hard, It's probably going to be a little obvious, but I just loved the twists and turns and the high octane moments that this book provided, and I really did enjoy it. So yeah, it's a 5 stars. What was I thinking? Next up is a book by one of my all-time favorite romance authors, and that is yours truly by Abby Jimenez. I have come to love Abby Jimenez writing and her stories and her characters, and this was no exception. In fact, I think this is my favorite Abby Jimenez book. So this one is like the companion book to Part of Your World, which was my favorite book of last year. And I've also read the trilogy by Abby Jimenez, and I've rated everything 5 stars except for one of her books. This one, it just had my heart. You follow 2 doctors that work in the same hospital, and they meet, but they're kind of like both dealing with their own things, and then a romance ensues between them. But what makes this one especially kind of unique and special, I think, is that Dr. 𝒍𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒔 deals with anxiety, and that is explored and represented throughout the novel. And I love it so much. Like, he is literally the softest cinnamon roll, and you cannot convince me otherwise. I also really like that they write letters to each other, and it like bonds them even more. So if you're looking for like a sweet rom-com with heavier themes and topics that aren't like too heavy and like triggering and things like that, read this one. I think the representation was done really, really well, and I'm just so happy that more people are finding Abby Jimenez and falling in love with all of her books like I have. All right, now we're here with an unpopular opinion. Okay, and that's fine. I love that for me. I'm talking about the next thriller that I rated 5 stars, and that is You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. So I've only read one other book by the author. It was her debut, but I do have a couple of other books on my TBR shelf to read, and I'm looking forward to them now, like even more after reading this one. I know she's not the author for everyone. I know everybody is allowed to have their own opinion on the book, but I loved this one. I loved the uneasy, like edge of my seat, like ominous vibes that this book gave me. So many red flags. So I ended up reading this for my friend Jesse's book club, Sleep When I'm Dead. And I was like one of the first people that was like putting my thoughts down in the Discord channel, and I was just listing red flag number 1, red flag number 2, red flag number 3. Yeah, I just loved the reading experience. I wasn't really trying to figure out like what was going on or anything like that. It also has like a romance in it. It's like small town vibes, but it's about this woman that stays at an Airbnb in like this ranch in Wyoming, and then just weird, ominous, creepy things start happening. So if you're looking for a good thriller, I would recommend this one, but other people thought this book was trash, so you know, whatever. Another absolute shocking favorite of the year is The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. This is Essays on a Human-Centered Planet, and that's exactly what this is. It's a collection of essays that he wrote about various weird, seemingly unconnected things, and what he thought about them. And I could tell like a lot of research and time and dedication went into each essay. I loved the storytelling of this. I loved that he narrated the audiobook, so I highly recommend that. It was just so, it was like informative, but it was also just like fun to read and learn as well. John Green reviews different facets of the human-centered planet on a 5-star scale. So he would, let me just read you some of the essay titles. So you have You'll Never Walk Alone, which is a song, and he rates these things. Halley's Comet, Our Capacity for Wonder, Canada Geese, Teddy Bears, the Hall of Presidents, Air Conditioning, the Internet, Academic decathlons, sunsets, Piggly Wiggly, and he just kind of tells like his take on these things, a little bit of history. If you like that show on the History Channel, or maybe it's, what channel is it on? It's like How It's Made. It kind of felt like this, you know, like you found the background information about these different companies and stuff, and it was just so fascinating. So highly recommend this if you're looking for another nonfiction to add to your TBR and you haven't already read this. And the last book that I am going to talk to you about today is The Family Secrets by 𝒂𝒏𝒏𝒅. There's something about her writing that just, if I need a boost, if I'm feeling in a slump, I just pick up a �𝒂💏 and I feel so much better afterwards. I'm not trying to knock her writing and say like they're not literary masterpieces, but I also don't think that's what she's going for. She's going for entertainment, and that is what she delivers. All of her books are usually short. They usually have short chapters. Characters are put in absolutely ridiculous situations, and that is definitely the case in this one. Let's see, Austin and Lowell, they go to Lowell's like family estate, and then Austin just sees like things that she didn't even know about her boyfriend slash fiance and his family and his background and just kind of like where he grew up and stuff like that. And she finds out that there's some family secrets going on. I just flew through it. I read it on a Monday night on Jesse's reading sprints on Monday nights at Reading with Jess, and I just couldn't put it down until I was finished. That's how I feel about her books. So if that's not the sign of a 5-star read, I don't know what is. So there you have it. Those are my best books that I read this spring. I highly recommend all of them. If any of them sound interesting to you, definitely add them to your TBR, and then let me know which ones I've convinced you to pick up to read. But that is all for today's video. I hope you all are having a lovely day or night whenever you're watching this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave an orange heart emoji for my orange shirt down in the comment section down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys again in another video very soon. Bye, friends.